you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
Hey, everybody. Sorry, what a day. You caught me wolfing down dinner. I got my friend Sterling standing by here. Let's bring him in. Hey, Sterling.
Hey.
How the hell are you?
Good. Someone wrote, is his browser pre-frozen?
Yeah, exactly. So,
oh, that's so
yeah,
good.
no, I promise, folks, I'm going to use my Jedi mind powers tonight as best I can to make sure that that Sterling's that his browser is going to be okay. Okay, Sterling. So it's time to play Quien Mas Macho. Quien es Mas Macho? Juan Travolta or Thomas Cruise? Quien es Mas Macho? Sterling?
I like how you said Juan Travolta. That's awesome.
Yeah. ¿Cómo se dice? Juan. Okay,
you know what? I blame my parents. I learned no Spanish growing up, and I should have.
Well, guess what? I got news for you. Your parents did nothing wrong, okay? I'm telling you that. If you don't know Spanish, it's your fault. Come on, you pulled it in, Sterling.
My dad wanted to teach me German, actually. My dad had a thing for the German language. It was so strange, but so he taught me Mach schnell.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Flughafen. Yeah.
I learned one piece of German from watching a war film about the Nazis. And I'm not even sure if it's correct German. Wisi Hansonufen, which means put your hands in the air, because I saw some Nazi come in the room with a machine gun and say, Wisi Hansonufen, and everybody went like this, and I'm like, that means put your hands in the air. But apparently it doesn't really. It means something like idiomatically it's wrong.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. So I took Spanish for 7 years. Growing up in LA, I took it all through junior high school, which they now call middle school.
And I should have.
High school.
I should have.
I don't remember it because I was like in high school. I was like still on heroin all the time. So I was like,
it's also a beautiful language.
It is, and it's also beautiful people. I spent a lot of time there. My parents, who were both in design and architecture, they used to travel to Mexico.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
Yeah, they used to teach students the history of Mexican architecture. And I kind of have a thing for Mexican girls, but I've never been able to really fulfill it. So,
well, anyway, when Ronnie and Biddy left the Sea Org, they were sent to Cabo, right?
No, how would I know that?
Yeah. I guess you're right. I forgot. Dave doesn't put those on bulletins for everybody.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. No, he doesn't.
No.
He usually says something really nasty about well, I never heard, he never said anything about them. But,
well, it's interesting. No one told me. They disappeared. No one mentioned a single thing to me.
Why did they go to Cabo?
I think he just wanted them outside the United States, far away from him as possible.
He sent them to Cabo.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's not the worst place to be sent. I mean,
I know, right?
It's nice.
It's like that bad.
I've spent some time in Baja. It's very nice down there. So, Adisi, what the hell are we doing? We're just gas bagging.
Why not? Hey, we're two interesting people with a lot to say.
You're not supposed to say that. That's something other people say about you.
Okay. You know what? I'm just reading the chats, and they've said that, so I'm just going with I'm agreeing.
I know, but here's the thing. The quickest way to stop being interesting is to start claiming you're interesting. Okay? Just listen to your elders, Sterling. That's how it works.
I retract my statement. I am a complete boring dud.
Well, no, you're not. You don't have to say that either.
I would like to. Just thank John Shatowski for sending me my doll.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I got it. And also for my grandma's cookies. Now, interesting fact.
Oh my God.
These used to be about this much bigger in the 80s when I used to get them at AOLA in the vending machines. But nonetheless, thank you for the cookies, John Shatowski.
Well, everything was bigger in the 80s.
So are action stars.
Hair was bigger in the 80s, remember?
Women's hair was a lot bigger in the 80s.
Yeah, so was guys' hair. Hey, listen, but speaking of being not saying things, this is something I would never, here's an example, Sterling.
Yeah.
Like you never say this about yourself. Oh man, but Volkswagen.
Well, you remember the-
I put that up accidentally. Sorry.
No, I
but-
did. I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah.
Just because they were great German words.
Okay, well, hold on. I need to take away your privilege for
Sorry. Go
putting
ahead.
things up. No, I'm sorry. What am I? I'm messing up. No, because somebody
Okay.
said here.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. See, this is something I would never say about myself, right? I don't agree
I don't
with
know
you.
that's-
Elsie says, I think she's referring to us, the two sexiest men on YouTube.
No, I think there's a follow-up to that. She's just making that statement right now. There's going to be the
Oh,
actual
she's setting
answer.
us up because she's trolling us?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think Elsie's 100% sincere. Thank you, Elsie. Thank you.
No,
Thank
you know
Just
what?
the fact that you'd put me in the same category as Sterling, who's, I think I'm older than his father.
I don't think you are. What year were you born?
49.
You are.
Yeah. I'm older than everybody. The thing is, I just don't look it because I'm like, Dorian Gray. There's
You
like
actually do not look at Mitch. I would have never known, man.
Yeah, I know. It's scary.
My dad's aged a little bit.
The last woman I dated was 35. But that's a different deal. Hey.
Oh, by the way, Mitch, before I forget,
Yes, sir.
I've added you to my list.
Of
Well, I
Aaron
just
Reese.
do
Nice.
plus and minus points. But you got added late, so they had a head start, just so you know.
Oh, I think Aaron's really mad at me right now, so I think you should probably take my name off of there.
No, it's my list, not Aaron's list.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm just kidding anyway. He can do whatever he wants. Okay, let's. Can I just leave that on for the rest of the show? Oh, achieving the biggest hair in middle school was a badge of honor. That was from the Inappropriate Heifer. Absolutely. I remember in my era when we called it junior high school.
Yeah.
We went from 7th to 9th, and then somebody realized that 9th graders should not be in the same school with 7th graders, because that's when you go through all these changes. So they shoved the 9th graders into high school, and then they changed the name of it to middle school, right?
Okay.
That's how that worked. But I got to tell you, when I was in junior high, I went to junior high in Hollywood to a junior high by the name of LeConte. LeConte was a famous scientist. Why you would send teenagers and tweens to a school that was named LeConte, and not think we're not going to do something with that name? You'd have to be crazy. But,
That's actually pretty funny.
but anyway, you're right. You're right. The Inappropriate Heifer, you're right. The thing with the girls was just they looked like from Mars Attacks. They looked
Yeah,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then they had the epaulets. No, not the, what was it? The shoulder boards, the shoulder pads where that stuck way. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That was
that was more of that. Shoulder pads were more like the late 70s and the 80s.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay because I had to study all this stuff to get into directing school. You had to know fashion trends and all that kind
Which
of
I
stuff.
knew nothing about.
Yeah, it's not necessarily useful information. So the topic tonight, something I wanted to talk about, like we're never going to get to it. So what I'd like to do is, I know you recently did a stream, speaking of Aaron Smith-Levin, you guys recently spoke about Tom Cruise and John Travolta. You did kind of a contrast and compare thing. Hey, what's happening? Everything okay?
Yeah, no, I'm just messing. I get a little buzz in my speaker every once in a while. It has nothing to do with this. I don't know why it is. So
well, you got to stop eating those gummies before.
I know, right?
I know you don't do that. I mean, it's fine if you do. But.
No, I know. I do want to try it actually. I have done it once before.
Well,
I know. I talked to Reese about it. It's like, so I can drink alcohol because I can control the dosage very, very well, and I never get too hammered. But I don't know where I'll go if I did a weed gummy or edible. So it's it's sort of a line I'm going to push at some point. But at the same time, my drug is sports. I get a high from anything sports related. Yeah. So I'm sticking to that for now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be pressured or feel.
No, but again, no judgment. Those of you that do it, it's arguably it's better than alcohol for you.
Yeah, and it's better than some medication as well that is used for the same thing. I did so much drugs when I was young. I pretty much stopped when I was about 23-ish. Yeah, and I just never had then I had hepatitis when I got it in high school, and I had to take really good care of myself. I don't have it anymore because I was fortunate to be taking one of these miracle drugs, which
It
cost,
just knocks it out.
yeah, it takes 12 weeks, costs $84,000.
Jesus.
But yeah, it's really a rip-off. Fortunately, I had insurance, so it only cost me about $4,000. But
Wow.
it was
Well,
pretty crazy.
Yeah, you know that I didn't, like even as a kid, I barely took Tylenol, even when I had a
Oh, yeah, I
fever
know.
and a toothache.
Yeah, I know, but you have to know something. I mean, because you were at Gold, I was at Gold too.
Yeah.
Those AMFers in the medical liaison office, right? This is like the people that
Yeah.
all medical care, all health care is only provided to Sea Org members. It has to be coordinated through an office called the medical liaison office.
Right.
And they may or may not have had any training. The one at Gold, she was a registered nurse back when like dinosaurs walked the earth, so she knew a few things. But those guys, I was having trouble sleeping, and you want the list of drugs they gave me?
Oh.
Dude, Rachel Hastings and I are going to do a stream on the wacky healthcare shit that some Sea Org members get. You may have never taken a Tylenol, but I had benzodiazepines, I had Ativan, I had all kinds of crazy drugs. I mean, they have got because they think they can get away with this shit. And L. Ron Hubbard wrote an advice. It was probably a flag, probably a ship advice. But he wrote this advice where some guy lost his stuff on the ship and he didn't sleep and he went psychotic. And so Hubbard wrote this advice, as they call it, that you can give a person a soporific, which means sleeping pill, if they can't sleep. So when I read that, it says, to me, that was one. You could give them a soporific just to knock them out so they can sleep for a night, right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't working for me. So, I mean, I was like on these all kinds of heavy drugs up there for like 6 weeks.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. They do crazy shit, and then they wouldn't give you an aspirin for a toothache. So
No, when I had my motorcycle accident, the dentist stitched me up.
Oh, really, Bob? Bob stitched you up?
Yes.
That's crazy. Well, he knew how to do
Under this
stitches.
beard, I got a little scar right underneath my chin, a perfect little line.
Yeah, nice. You and Harrison Ford.
Yeah, right. Hey,
He's
I got that.
one. Yeah, I always considered that it was the imperfections that made both men and women truly beautiful.
Agreed.
Yeah, because if you're perfect, I don't want to. I'm like, next.
Yeah, right. Next one.
Yeah, you're perfect. Wow, what else you got? What else you got to offer? Usually that's it.
I was thinking, I actually forgot what Aaron and I spoke about with Tom Cruise and John Travolta, but now I just remembered. It was about why Cruise gets the brunt of the attention, at least from the ex-Scientologists and ex-Sea Org members, or at least from my point of view, was because of his IAS speech.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I have a different feeling on that because I have different opinions on everything. I'm always getting shit for it. My basic opinion on that, I wasn't intending to talk about that, but we'll do it since we're there. My basic opinion on that, like I was there when he did that, blah blah blah. I didn't work on that video, but I walked through the editing 100 times while it was being done, and occasionally somebody would say, "Hey, Mitch, come here. What do you think of this?" And because I knew who did it and how they got done. And I'll tell you, Sterling, like there was maybe 100 versions of that edit.
What?
Like Miscavige was like, he went over every frame of that thing. It's like, can we do that music a little louder here, a little less? We need more spotlights at the beginning. We need this, we need it. There literally must have been 100 different edits.
I'm sure he micromanaged the crap out of that.
Oh yeah, nano managed. Like whatever the next level below micro is like nano. Yeah, he nano managed the thing.
What I want to know, and I don't know if you know this, did he send that to Tom before it got?
Oh, I don't know that, but I can tell you he absolutely would have.
Yeah, I would have thought he would.
Oh yeah, no. Tom saw all kinds of stuff. This is a different subject, but he'd see ads that stuff that I did. Like sometimes there are two things. If Miscavige was having a rough time, let's say in the courts, like he was handling a court thing, and he was getting beaten up, all of a sudden everything we did would be rejected. Literally, it was just his mood. Not everything, but a lot of stuff. And I always could tell. I could tell if like some court thing he was doing was going well or not based on what his reaction was to various different things. And it's not supposed to be that way. Like you're supposed to keep these so-called hats completely separate. But yeah, so but occasionally he would say, "Hey, I showed this thing to Tom and he really loved it." Right?
Yeah.
I showed your thing, what you did. I showed it. So that made me believe, he's showing tons of stuff.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Everything except for Battlefield Earth, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I think they hate John because John does not identify as being cisgender.
Yeah.
I think that's why, because they're both really homophobic. I mean, I think there's all levels of homophobia. Dave is very homophobic,
Yes.
as are most Sea Org members and most Scientologists. But Tom less so because he works in Hollywood and da 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 da. And
Right,
you can contain that stuff, but I'll bet you he doesn't have any gay people on his staff. And I know the two guys that eventually they hired at $10,000 a shot to do his makeup and hair, and neither of them were gay. And look, that's a cliche. I have a nephew who's British, and he's one of the top hairdressers in England, in London. He's been on junkets with Tom Cruise and blah blah blah. He does all that kind of stuff. Fashion Week. He's done every Vogue. His name's Hallie Brisker. If you want to look him up on Instagram. Yeah. There's this cliche that male hairdressers and makeup artists are gay. But my nephew's got 2 kids. He's
I know what you're talking. I go to a barber shop. I mean, I think a guy will cut a guy's hair best. And my barber, awesome dude and he married 2 kids, but
it's all over. It's just a cliche.
Yeah, it is. It totally is.
It just so happens.
Like male dancers, but
yeah. But it just so happens that I've never seen anybody around them at all who's gay. And John, like you said, like who gives a shit? But John, even though he doesn't openly identify as not cisgender, we know that he probably has some other identification, and he doesn't like them, and they don't like him. Big deal. But what I wanted to talk about. Yeah. First of all, just to back up a minute, what I saw when Tom said, when Miscavige said the most dedicated Scientologists, people who were Sea Org members who were on their way out. Yeah. Like when you heard that and you were offended, you at least had one foot out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were kind of at least psychically, you were out the door.
But remember, though, I was a super fan before that. I mean, when Tom Cruise visited the base and they needed a DVD of his and they didn't have it in the library, I was the one they asked only because I had all his movies on DVD.
Right.
I mean, I really was a Tom Cruise super fan.
And this, put that aside, okay? This is not about whether or not you're a fan or Tom. This is about him saying something that was very offensive. But in order for you to be offended, your mindset had to be a certain mindset, okay? Because, and I'll tell you why I say this. I'll tell you what it's based on.
Okay.
The people that I knew that were hardcore Sea Org members, right? That were just fully in, and they were just warriors for Dave and Tom and blah. When they heard that, they didn't hear Scientologists. They heard not Sea Org.
Right.
They heard him say, Tom Cruise is the most dedicated Scientologist who's not in the Sea Org, because Dave would never refer in that context to a Sea Org member as Scientologist. He would say he's the most dedicated Sea Org member.
But even if someone like me who knew that Tom was best buds with Dave,
right,
and that Dave had already toured him in Building 50 and showed him all the lectures and the basic books, knowing that he was getting information and going to places I couldn't even go to on the gold base.
Right.
So I kind of, with that information in the back of my head, I associated those two with the statement being he thinks he's more important than.
Well, I mean,
but that's obviously how I took it.
Yeah. But bottom line, Sterling, is that let's like drill down to try to speculate on what Dave really think. Dave thinks he's above the Sea Org, and he thinks Tom is above every Scientologist in the world and all Sea Org members.
Oh, so we agree on that.
Oh, totally. But the thing is that it was your awareness because you were leaving the Sea Org that gave you the mental freedom to see that, where all the other like hardcore warriors, they were like, yeah, he's the most dedicated Scientologist. They loved it.
Right.
They loved it. But you're like, wait, I don't think, that's like you're leaning out of the bubble going, no, that's
Going, yeah.
yeah, that's that. Because I mean, from what I've seen of Dave, and I've said it before, like he's above the Sea Org. He doesn't consider himself a Sea Org. And there's a Sea Org member, and there's not a Sea Org member alive. I think that Dave doesn't think Tom is more senior than.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I agree with you. And we've covered that before. Dave Miscavige is not a Sea Org member by any definition. And he's not even going to fulfill the billion-year contract, is he?
Who knows?
He doesn't even meet that requirement. But no, he's definitely not. And yeah, of course, like you say, Mitch, you're right. I had one foot out, but it rubbed me the wrong way.
Because
really
you were seeing through it. But I'm telling you, most Sea Org members were not offended by it. They were like, they feel really supported. I mean, their viewpoint really is that, you could say, well, yeah, sure, Tom was using all this, Sea Org members taking advantage of like slave labor, like John Brousseau, and really talented people who were doing all these things for him. But in their minds, he's doing so much for them that they want to get their exchange in with him. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's what they think.
Right. I mean, it would be an honor. That's a great point, Mitch. Let's talk about that. The person in the Sea Org chosen to work on Tom Cruise's hangar, that's an honor. When you're in there, that would have been like, oh, this is amazing.
Tom, he, here's this guy. He's the biggest movie star in the world. He's the highest paid movie star in the world. And he's talking about the organization that I'm bonded to for 1 billion years. I want to do something for him. I mean, that's the flow from the inside. Okay, so here's what I actually wanted to talk about.
Hey, remember, this works. This is just a conversation we'd be having with a coffee. So that's what I love about it. So don't feel too don't feel too urged to go back to exactly what it is, because we're going to get to it for sure.
That was just my segue. Mr.
Oh, perfect segue then.
That's all come on.
Don't let me talk to you. Don't stop.
Yeah.
You got it.
So I wanted to take John and Tom. I've met both of these guys. I've hung out with them a little bit. I met them in very different and kind of strange circumstances. But I wanted to take them out of the context of Scientology, just for a conversation. We're inevitably going to jump back in there, but I wanted to just talk about them in relation to their significance to having influenced pop culture.
Okay.
Right. This is a little bit of that may sound like a more nuanced conversation than it is. It's actually pretty simple and straight ahead. So if you look at them in terms of, box office, I don't think that tells the whole story because, let me see, I have the numbers here. I think.
You know what's funny? I've never thought about looking at that. So I'm really interested to see what the numbers are. How close are we?
They're not even close. Tom is like.
Oh, really? That much more, huh?
At least double.
So Battlefield Earth didn't help him out in that race?
No, I think John, I mean, he survived it. That was really a fucking
But
tragedy.
Those numbers, as I'm sure
I tried to warn them.
Yeah.
Well,
don't correlate exactly to influence overall and pop culture.
No, I don't think they do at all, and I'll tell you why. And I'm really interested to hear from our viewers in the chat. Please, this is a conversation that everybody should is invited to participate in. Of course, the only opinion that counts here is mine. But I really do want to hear from people because there's no way that I've explored every dark corner of this box. John's, I don't know that I fully trust these numbers because they're from the prestigious internet, but John's box office is 3.9 billion, and Tom's box office is 11.5 billion. So
wow! So it's
that's a pretty significant difference. John, according to the internets, his net worth is 260 million, and Tom's is 600 million, which is pretty amazing because I remember it was not that many years ago when Tom's was 300 million. So in the last maybe 10 years, he's doubled his net worth according to the internet.
And that's getting the back end on all the Mission Impossible movies, I'm going to guess.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
That's him getting the back end on all the Michelin.
Yeah,
Impossible?
when he really started producing and sort of really owning the franchise and but he's been producing his films for some time. But then on the other hand, Travolta was the first one to do something that any actor ever did.
Ooh, what's this?
When he did Grease, he got points on the album. Grease was the first hit. Like before Grease, you had album soundtracks.
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden with Grease, you had hit songs in the movie. And
Right.
That was the
Was
first
that the
one.
first movie that started that trend?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
I did not know that.
even Elvis Presley, Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You look, and I doubt there was a soundtrack album where it was a bunch of, but Grease was absolutely. I know this because, I had a girlfriend who was the musical supervisor on Urban Cowboy, which was one of the. I think that was the first time I met Sean, because they were very good friends, and so I had gone out to dinner one night with. This was crazy, with John, a friend of John's, who was an old dear friend who was part of his entourage in his management team, Mickey Gilley and Johnny Lee. Johnny Lee, who sang "Looking for Love," and my girlfriend and I think that was it.
Okay.
And we went out to a place, I don't know if you know this place, but if you want sometime, we'll go there. Dr. Huggy Wugly's Tyler, Texas style barbecue. Do you know it? Dr.
Nope.
Huggy Wugly's? Okay, so the movie Urban Cowboy took place in Pasadena, Texas, which is just next to Tyler, Texas, right? So there's a place in the valley, San Fernando Valley, that is so famous for Texas barbecue that Mickey Gilley, that's the guy who owned Gilley's, when he came to LA to work on the film or for the opening or whatever, he said, I want to go to Gilley's. I want to go to Dr. Huggy Wugly's and have barbecue, right? I still eat there, right? And
Do you
because
really?
I'm like, yeah, because if a guy from Texas is coming to LA and wanting to go to a famous Texas barbecue place in LA, it's like absolutely, it's a greasy spoon. It's awesome. It's great. It's just like they eat in Texas. Your whole face is going to be covered in barbecue sauce. Your clothes are going to be destroyed.
You're gonna be licking your fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be like wanting to go to sleep for an hour. It's just like completely insane. So that was the first time I think that was the first time I met Sean. And then I never, it was, whatever. My point is that what does that mean to be culturally significant? It's a little bit of a misnomer. I mean, culturally important or whatever it was that I said. Culturally relevant. I said relevant.
Culturally relevant, yeah.
Yeah, usually that means that a person that's culturally relevant is aware of customs and aware of how the culture works, aware of mannerisms. But the way that I mean it, because I'm talking about pop culture, like who actually influenced the music people listen to, the clothes that they wear, the dances that they do, the way that they act with the opposite sex, that's John Travolta. Like, hands down, this guy has been involved in 3 timeless classics: Grease, Saturday Night Fever, and Urban Cowboy. And with each of those movies, the 50s doo-wop era was already in full swing, but Grease made it into a timeless classic. And the disco era was in full swing. Saturday Night Fever made it into a timeless classic. And people were line dancing when Urban Cowboy came out. But when the movie came out, it became a timeless classic. All of a sudden, people started listening to country music that had never listened to country music. You had artists, because you had artists like Anne Murray and Johnny Lee.
Just so you know, I've never seen Urban Cowboy.
It's brilliant. And plus,
Is
Urban,
it?
it's a really. And the thing is, all of these films seem so, kind of superficial, like cotton candy on the surface, but they're not.
No.
Each one of those films, like especially Saturday Night Live, was directed by John, what's his name? A really important Hollywood director, John Badham, I believe. Somebody correct me. I believe it was directed by John Badham. He's a really serious film director. He wasn't. Grease, not so much, because that was Randall Kleiser, and he did like True Love, and he was a cotton candy kind of director. But and then Urban Cowboy.
Wait, Mitch, I gotta say,
what?
I love your knowledge of movies. You are spouting out people, of course, I've never heard of, which totally fine. the way that I would spout out baseball players and batting averages and
I wasn't into sports
and
okay?
nuances and
when I was in high school, I wasn't into sports. Okay, and I had more opportunity than you did to be into sports.
I know you did, but I you know what? I'm seeing
Okay.
I'm seeing someone that loves what you do, and you're also a student of it, and you're also brilliant at it, and it just makes me smile because it's the same thing that happens to me when I start talking about baseball.
Right.
I can just keep going and talking about players, but I just wanted to stop you to tell you that it's why I'm smiling. I love it. Just do understand though, a lot of people you're saying. You must see, did you grow up in a cult? I'm sure she's talking about Urban Cowboy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great film.
I'm gonna watch it. No, part of this series, besides talking all Scientology stuff, is Mitch and I are having a chance to be actual friends for the first time. And he has so much to share with me.
Well, we were friends when you were on the set. We just didn't hang out.
Yeah, that's right. The movie genre. And I can't wait because guess what? I'm going to piss him off tonight by telling him that Steven Seagal made some of the most classic films in the 80s. And those are timeless, and everyone should really enjoy Steven Seagal movies.
And this is when Mitch ended the stream.
I knew it. I talked to my brother Justin today, so I'm going to tell that to Mitch. He goes, "Go ahead, tell him what's wrong with that." Steven Seagal.
Well, I mean, this is a guy. Come on, this is a guy. He was a thug. He was like a.
But I didn't know that.
No, he was a thug. You know that he purposely broke a stuntman's arm.
So now I know that. So
story.
I cannot be attacked.
You know
now I know that
he's best friends with Putin. He has a Russian passport, and those two guys hang out together.
Hey, I was a kid. I liked his movies in the 80s. I didn't say that I follow him today in his whatever cult he's in. Well, I just said that he was awesome in the 80s.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing. I will never criticize you for your opinions. I'll only criticize your opinions because I love you, Sterling. You were always one of my favorite people up there. So yeah, you have some. I don't agree with your opinion. I agree with you. But so anyway, yeah. So
I just had to bring it up. That's all.
No problem. Urban Cowboy. I mean, I got a closet full of cowboy boots. I mean, I always kind of wore cowboy boots because it was a cool thing, to wear with like tight jeans and a blousy shirt. Yeah. Cowboy boots are sexy, but I should take my computer into my closet right now and show you. I've got. Yeah,
I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah, well, and plus, L.A. is only second to Houston, probably, or Dallas, for availability of a really good Western wear. And that's because of the rock singer, movie star thing. The whole
yeah,
thing. Because it's, but John brought, I mean, that movie popularized.
Would you consider Pulp Fiction in that list? Even though he only played a minor role? Would you say it was a minor role? I mean, really, it was
nobody had a starring role in that film. I mean, who was the star of Pulp Fiction? It was as much John as any. It was an ensemble film. I would say, I mean, Pulp Fiction was there's a difference between a culture, like it contribute. I mean, I don't think Pulp Fiction contributed anything to pop culture culturally. In other words, it's not a timeless classic. Nobody started dressing like any of the characters. Nobody started listening to the music. It was very much a movie about movies, and it influenced a lot of movies because it was a movie about movies. I mean, that's kind of like Tarantino's, all of his films are like they're Valentines to movie making because everyone is like a genre mashup. Everyone is based on things that came before. And he's brilliant at it. He's so good at it.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it is the movie that relaunched his career.
Yeah, it did.
Did you know this interesting fact? John Travolta spoke, and I know this firsthand, spoke to a few people at Int Base, the international base, one of which I knew pretty well. And when he had the script for this movie, he had asked, should I do this movie? And one of the executives at the international base, after reading the script, said no.
Yeah, I think that was Mike. Didn't Mike tell us?
No, it wasn't. I think Mike knows about it. I'm not sure Mike. Maybe Mike did say that too, but the person I'm speaking about told John Travolta not to do the movie because it wasn't Scientological, because of all the gay stuff and because of all the swearing and all that stuff. John
Yeah,
did not listen to this person.
yeah,
Thank God.
Actually, I just read. I was boning up, no pun intended, on John's career today, and he was offered Forrest Gump, and he turned that down to do Pulp Fiction, which I think was a really smart move.
Oh, wow.
So I could imagine him going to the same person and saying, "What would you feel like if I played a mentally challenged person in a film?" They'd say, "No,
Yeah.
you can only play a genius." Anyway, that's pretty.
Yeah, then his career took off after that. I mean, he even did he did Michael. He did
Well, not that. I think Michael was before that. Was that after that? I mean, it could.
no, Michael's after, because that's when he took off. That's when he did the Bill Clinton movie too.
Yeah, because he had done. Hold on. So he did Pulp Fiction, and then he did. I'm trying to think some of the other classic films that he did. My dog's not going to shut up.
It's no worries.
Look, I have snacks right here. A little snack. I'm just going to feed him.
Throw
a
him at
snack.
him.
Yeah, here, go get that. Go fetch. Oh, now he's like, here, go eat them all. I threw a handful of them. That'll keep him busy. No, I was trying to think. No, you're absolutely right. Michael was great. That was a Nora Ephron film. I don't know if you wouldn't probably know that because you grew up in a cult.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't know. I know who Nora Ephron is, but
Yeah,
I
you know
wouldn't
she
that
was. Yeah, you know her. Anyway, she died not too long ago. Actually, I'm reading her book called. What's it called? I'm reading. I think it's one of the last books she wrote. The woman is. She's one of my big heroes as a writer and director.
Did she start the romantic comedy? The kick-started the new phase of romantic comedies, essentially.
I
or?
think romantic comedies have been around forever, but she did. She did.
Did she do Sleepless in Seattle?
Yeah, she did. But but my favorite Nora Ephron film is Heartburn, the one where because she toasted her ex-husband Carl Bernstein for cheating on him. How would you like to cheat, have a huge public divorce, and then have your wife write a film called Heartburn about what a douchebag you were for giving the woman you were having sex with while I was in the hospital having your baby, and you're giving her diamond jewelry, right? And I'm gonna write a film about what a douchebag you are, and I'm gonna get and Mike Nichols is gonna direct it,
Right.
and Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep are gonna play us. I mean, yeah. Just as an aside, my mother and Carl Bernstein's mother were roommates during World War II in San Francisco, so we knew that family, the Bernsteins.
wow.
So it was kind of like, I kind of laughed gleefully because, anyway, I love Nora Ephron. She's just, I was reading this book. It's about her losing her memory
Yeah.
as she was getting older, but she's only like a year older than me. So I was really like, oh, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a beautiful experience, though, I have to say. Oh, so Shula G says Heartburn was a great book too. Yeah, I actually forgot she wrote it as a book. I thought she just wrote it as a
All right, and people were talking that I think Mike Rinder had said mentioned to John. No, there was actually another person as well. I'm not talking about Mike Rinder. I was not mixing him up. No, Mitch. I stored those for later. You don't have to.
Oh, yeah, okay. But now I have to answer it because it's there. I'm so sorry. I just couldn't resist. How did I finally escape the Sea Org? By never being in the Sea Org. It's like the best way to... No, I was never in the Sea Org. There's a rumor going around that I was in the Sea Org. And, I've been attacked for not being in the Sea Org. So, as being just like an opportunistic interloper. I don't know. But, Urban Cowboy was directed by a guy who I got to know well, because my girlfriend worked directly under him. She did the soundtrack, and she found all of the songs. She was like the A&R person on the film. She found all the songs, with Urban Cowboy. So you had Grease was the first big hit album, right? That obviously, Saturday Night Fever was like, oh my God, and it became it became a franchise, right? And then you had Urban Cowboy, which kicked off a brand new credit in Hollywood. This person that I was with back then, partner, it was with that film that you started to see this credit that said musical supervisor.
Right.
That was the first time you ever saw that. because
Interesting.
it was the first film where they had a person like an A&R person come in. If you know what that is, that would be an artist or repertoire person who usually works for a record company and then coordinates the music for an act, right?
Yeah.
An A&R person is a person that knows how to find songs. This person went to Nashville. She found an
So,
unknown.
so
Sorry,
question: do we know what percentage on both of the albums for those movies
I don't.
were recorded for the movie or were found for the movie?
Oh no, Urban Cowboy.
Or
One
were
of
those
every song. That was what was so significant about it. Every song. There was no covers in that song. Every
Okay.
song in that film was A&R'd by this one individual,
Oh
who
wow!
then went on to huge success and was doing like 10 films a year. It literally put, and that's not to say that that's not a common thing.
Right,
But
right.
if you look, and the strange thing was the producer of the film, Irving Azoff,
Right.
who,
She's not going to give up, Mitch.
how did you finally escape Scientology? Oh,
I wasn't in Scientology. People think
yeah,
I'm.
yeah. I was no. I still working on that. I have a book coming out that'll explain it in 420 pages. Okay.
That's a perfect answer, Mitch. That is
Yeah,
really good, actually. I'm gonna take it.
yeah. So because it's I don't know that anybody ever really escapes it, but
Yeah.
I stopped interacting.
So we're at three.
Yeah.
We're at three movies: Urban Cowboy, Grease, which of course I'll always remember Grease, and actually Grease 2 I really liked as well. Don't know if anyone ever saw that. Comment on it. It's all motorcycles. That's when I first got the like. Oh,
Yeah,
motorcycles are awesome.
and Staying Alive, which was the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, was Staying Alive.
Oh, that's
Well,
right.
it was a little in the sort of flash dance vein kind of a thing,
Okay,
but
okay.
it was still a good film. But my main point is that name a timeless classic that Tom Cruise has started in. He didn't.
Oh,
He
well,
started
okay. So here's where we're gonna have to disagree.
maybe Risky Business.
No, here's where we're gonna have to disagree.
Okay.
And chat, get your fingers ready, people, because I might piss you off with this one.
Here
But I
we
hate
go.
to tell you this. I hate to tell you this. I was a giant Top Gun fan.
That's cool.
I
That's cool.
love that movie. I thought it was the. Now I get when you watch it now.
Me
but again,
too. I
but let's
loved it.
be
I
clear.
love Days of Thunder. I love those.
Cinematography wise, that is a brilliant movie.
Well, because that was Tony Scott.
Yes. Yeah.
Tony Scott was one of the greatest film stylists of our generation.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Scott was like every director and every cinematographer in Hollywood at one time or another copied Tony Scott. I mean, if you ever saw, what was the thing he did with Keira Knightley about she was the bail bonds person? It's a true story.
Oh, I don't know.
That was a Tony Scott film. That film is visually unbelievable. And he did The Hunger. Remember The Hunger with David Bowie was in that.
No, I don't.
Oh no! Well, years before Interview with the Vampire, probably one of the greatest vampire films ever made was called The Hunger, and it's just his. I mean, I can't. If I listed off all the little things that I stole from Tony Scott, we'd be here for the rest of the night.
Just the opening credits to Top Gun.
Oh yeah, no, it's an amazing film.
were
And the film, but
like-
listen to me a second, Sterling. Listen to your elders,
Yeah.
just 1 second, okay?
I'm listening. I'm in my place.
massive influence on filmmaking.
Yeah.
Top Gun, right? Probably recruited way more people for the Navy than it recruited
Yeah.
for Scientology.
Yeah.
But it's not a timeless classic. Like I'm saying that, like the
Well,
timeless classic. Have
let's
you watched it
define that for
lately?
the fun of it.
That's
What do
we're
you
doing.
define it as?
Oh, that's what we're doing. If you watch it lately, you're going to look at it and you're going to say that's really dated. You're
Yes.
going to say you're going to think things like Kelly McGillis, what she looks like now. And don't get me wrong, I'm not body shaming her. Kelly McGillis is to this day an amazing actor. I saw her recently, and she's physically very different than she was in Top Gun. And it doesn't matter because she's working with whatever she's got. She's working with it and doing a great job. But you look at it and it's dated. You think, oh, poor Val Kilmer. No. You know, you think, the music. It's kind of that music is sort of that over the top guitar, like almost 80s. kind of guitar anthem, right, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then like a timeless classic. It's like a guitar. It's like one of these over-the-top guitar anthems, right? That some guy with a mullet would have played at his wedding. You get what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, you know what I mean?
That's so good.
Some guy with a pickup truck and a mullet and a gun rack would have it played at his wedding. To me,
guys, we're going to talk about more time. There's a lot of people in the chat. I love this that are just going off on this, and we're having a blast.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could talk about pop culture all day. Whoops.
No, and seriously,
look
we're
at this.
going to run
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy Nutuggy. I would love the backstory on that name. Nutuggy. Anyway, I love the hunger. Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody's seen it. Whoops. I'm really bad at this. So,
you're a clicker.
Yeah, I could talk about pop culture all day, except comics. The one part of pop culture that I'm completely disconnected from are comics. Okay.
Oh, man.
A lot of people consider that's pop culture, but I'm really.
Yeah.
I was a comic reader when I was a kid. Like a big time.
I have to clarify on. I just want to go back to Top Gun again.
Sure. Yeah.
So for me, as a kid, growing up, I guess I was 10 years old when Top Gun came out.
Okay.
I wanted to be a pilot after watching that. Who wouldn't? Again, not realizing that I had no way to do that. But I fell in love with it.
You went right up to Qual and said, "I want a new tip. I want to be a jet pilot."
I can move my camera. So watch this. That is an F-14 Tomcat.
Nice.
Right now, above it also happens to be the SR-71 Blackbird. And even next to that is the U-2. So I love airplanes. That's cool. It's like fading a little bit. That movie just, for whatever reason, lived with me for so long. It was such a big deal. When I left the cult and got my first big screen TV, even though I didn't like Tom. Again, I don't think that movie for me is about Tom Cruise. I think anyone could have been in that movie, and I would have enjoyed it thoroughly. Maybe not Michael J. Fox, but I would have enjoyed the movie thoroughly. Is it a classic? Can you say something's a classic 80s film and still call it a classic? I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, as long as you append it with 80s.
With 80s, okay. 90s, that's fair.
But let me just continue on. Like a classic film would be like Wizard of Oz, okay? Timeless classic, not 80s classic or 90s classic, but timeless classic. It would be like Wizard of Oz. I watched it when I was a kid. I showed it to my kids. They'll show it to their kids, right?
Okay.
Grease is like that. Every generation has discovered that film since it came out. People are doing shuffle dances, those stupid shuffle dances they do at TikTok. They do it. They love to do it to, Staying Alive, right?
Yeah.
I
can see from that.
It has a life. In other words, it has a life that continues.
Right.
And it was people like it. They actually changed their hair, their clothes, the music that they listen to. That to me is pop culture relevance. Okay, John made 3 of those films in his career, and Tom has really made none. What? Oh no!
That's so good.
This is my throat. I know. I did that once. I walked into somebody's house and they had a bowl of cat treats on their dining room table. Who does that? And I took one and I ate it. I was thinking, these people have horrible taste in treats.
That's so good.
Anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was very, very funny. Okay, sorry. Keep going. I know I keep distracting, but if someone says something funny, I have to bring it up. So
actually, please continue to do that. That's great.
I might as well eat my cookie, by the way, while you're eating. So
yeah, please. Yeah, let's have a little snack. No, my throat. I've been online too long today, and my throat is like messed up. So I'm just.
That's a good question. What do you think about that?
A good what?
Did you click that intentionally?
Oh, no, I meant to star it for later.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not a timeless classic. It's definitely a classic. Although if you ask me for that kind of teenage young what in that genre was the best film, I would have to say Heathers, because Heathers was, to me, that's one of the.
Another film I've never seen.
Okay, make a list, people. Put it in the show
Okay.
notes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
We're gonna make a list. It's called movies Sterling has to watch if he wants to continue being my friend.
Yes, please keep track, everyone. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. 80s classic or classic?
Classic.
Okay.
Not timeless classic.
But classic.
Classic. Yeah, it's definitely classic.
Do you know when I went to Chicago in 2011, I bought tickets to sit in the exact seats he sat in during the scene at Wrigley Field. Yeah.
No kidding.
I'm a nerd.
But is that like a branded thing? Do they have like seats?
They do. You can find out which ones he actually sat in for the filming, and those are the ones I bought.
That's cool. Yeah, I wonder.
Wrigley Field's amazing too. It is like a movie set. It's so special.
Classic. Wrigley Field, classic. Actually, probably a timeless classic.
Yeah. No, Wrigley Field is a timeless classic. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Big Lebowski, classic. I mean, yeah, but really, are they like? And in a way, the Big Lebowski borders on being a cultural timeless classic, because the dude. I mean, come on, that character that he created is like probably responsible for everybody going like, dude. That whole thing. So I'm just saying that I can't. Can anybody out there think of a buzz phrase or a catchphrase that came out of a Tom Cruise movie? And don't get me wrong. I don't dislike Tom Cruise or his movies.
I mean, yes.
I dislike things he's done, but I don't dislike him.
Mitch, you can't handle the truth. You cannot handle the truth.
Yeah, but is that really a Tom Cruise movie? I think of that more as a Jack Nicholson film. Like, I don't think of Tom Cruise when you say...
Okay, show me the money. Show me the money.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Okay. But that's not a classic, and it's not timeless. But Mark was doing a live yesterday, and he's got Get Your Manners In by Tom Cruise and Show Me the Money. And every time he puts them on, I can't stop laughing.
So, but that was that Tom or was that Cuba Gooding Jr. that said that?
He was repeating it. Tom was repeating it to Cuba. Yeah.
And you complete me. There's another one. That's a good set. Now we're doing catchphrases. The other one was help me help you.
Yes.
That's actually another one that's kind of relevant to Scientology.
Put your manners back in. That's the one. Put your manners back in. But that's from an interview. Okay. I think we've answered this question. So the who is more culturally relevant? Chat, go ahead and tell us. Just write Travolta or Cruise. We'll look at it, but I think we've answered it's Travolta. We segued into talking about movies. I don't want to stop. Yeah,
I would just like to see John. John was very rude to me once. It was my fault. Okay. It was my fault. We were on but I'm saying still, I really liked him from the few times that I met him. And I was at Celebrity Center in the 80s or late 70s when John Travolta came there and began his career in Scientology. And he was just a student. He had a big TV show, Welcome Back Kotter. Everybody knew who he was. He was like a VIP. But he'd show up like everybody else and go to course like everybody else and say hi to people. And I always thought he was very real and very genuine. But I was given an assignment to interview him for the orientation film. The first time we did it, it had testimonials at the end.
Right.
And he was very tired. He was in the middle of a junket on a film he did that really wears them down, these things.
Okay. And so, I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, and we got, because I've seen it, and we got like 10 minutes of his time, whatever. And his makeup artist was an old friend of mine. It was weird. My brother was a fashion photographer when he was alive. And he had this makeup artist who he was really good friends with, so I knew her really well. I hadn't seen her in 12 years, and I showed up at the Four Seasons to do this interview with John, and it was her. And she was like, Mitch? And I'm like, yeah. and we're chatting, and I think that Travolta was like, "What the fuck is happening? How does this guy know my makeup person?" Blah blah blah. And then we set up to do the thing, and I was really having trouble hearing him, and my sound recordist was having. She just didn't know what the hell she was doing,
Yeah.
and I looked at her and she said, "Tell him to speak up." And I'm like, "I'm not going to tell somebody to speak up who's not being an actor. They're being themselves."
Right.
Like,
Right.
but then I got so desperate, I said, "Hey, John, could you just speak up a little bit?" And he just fucking lost.
Really?
He kind of lost it with me a little bit.
I find, it's hard to imagine if you've met him that would happen, but
It was subtle, but a guy like John
yeah.
has a very powerful personality. It doesn't take much, but it was really my fault. And I didn't dislike him for that. I was just like, Jesus, I was really effing embarrassed, and I wanted to punch my sound person in the face.
I want to say that the chat was pretty unanimous about Travolta.
Yeah, good.
But at the same time, guys, if you like Tom Cruise as an actor, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not the point. The point is that I don't think Tom. Tom has done great work.
Yeah.
He was magnificent in Magnolia. He was incredible in Born on the 4th of July. He is truly a gifted actor. He's also a show-off, I don't see why he does his own stunts. It's just like,
yeah, especially when he breaks ankle. And it's his personal life who he chooses to associate with, and how he talks to the press and talks to people that we have issue with.
But when he's outside, especially now, he's really mellowed. When he's outside a Scientology context, and I would also consider that his own staff as being a Scientology context, but when he's outside of there, like one of you guys I mentioned to somebody, I got invited to go hang out on the set of War of the Worlds for like 4 days, and then one of the people in the art department who works for Spielberg, really nice people. I mostly hung out with them because we went there to see what they were doing in the art department, so I could institute some new procedures at Gold. And I was talking to one of them, and they were shooting in, I think, Virginia, in the countryside, part of the film. And Tom he stopped at a Dairy Queen, right?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
You know this story? I don't know.
I think you mentioned it once before.
Yeah. He stopped at a Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
It was never really made public because he doesn't brag about this shit. And he went in there, and there was a basket, and it was asking for donations because one of the girls that worked there was in a horrible car accident, and they were having difficulty paying her medical bills. And the girls who worked there were friends of hers from high school, so they put this basket on the counter.
Oh, wow.
And Tom left, and then somebody from his entourage came in there and dropped 10 grand in the basket.
Wow.
Yeah, like, and didn't even, like, they had to put two and two together. They didn't even say who it was, but because he'd just been in there, like, it didn't have a note that said, good luck, love Tom Cruise. It was just like So I think when he's out of this kind of out of this Scientology context, like he's not around Dave, he's a really gracious guy. He's really nice. When I was on this set of hanging out on the set of
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds. Did I tell you that story? Like he showed up. Yeah, I told it to you online, right? Well, I'm not going to.
No, I don't think you did. So go ahead and tell it. Go ahead and tell it, and then we'll get into the questions so we can blast them out. But
yeah. So the first day I was there, I showed up at sunrise. I went out about 7 o'clock in the morning on the docks in Brooklyn where they were shooting the stevedore scene, and they'd started at 4 o'clock in the morning for sunrise. The helicopter shot with Tom Cruise up on the scaffolding, being a stevedore. And then they part of the deal was because they had to shut that part of the dock down with the longshoremen's union. They made a deal. They said, "Hey, a bunch of you can come, bring your families, hang out. We'll put a place for you to sit. You can watch filming all day long." That was just part of the deal that they offered them to shut it down. So then, end of the day, they shoot the same scene at sunset because Spielberg wanted a choice: sunrise, sunset. And so now it's 9 o'clock at night, and this guy's been up since probably 2 in the morning because he probably had to arrive at 3 or 4 for a sunrise shoot. And now 9 o'clock at night, they line all of these guests up with their families, and Tom goes down a line, like a reception line, and he talks to every single one of them, and he takes someone from his crowd takes their cameras, gets the pictures, hands the camera back. They go to the next one, and he's so polite. I mean, this one girl shoved a cell phone at him. She was like squealing, talking to her girlfriend. it's Tom Cruise. And she shoved a cell phone. He picked it up and said, hey, hi, how are you?
Right.
Just here. I mean, that guy's like,
Yeah.
this is a guy who really knows that he's famous because those people love him.
Yeah.
And he's just so different than when he's around Dave
I know.
that it makes you wonder. So I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for saying nice things about Tom Cruise. But
You might, but at the same time, that's a story of something you observed.
Yeah, and also, but
Yeah.
I have to be very clear that people understand. I feel he has a lot to be held accountable for because
Yes.
one of the things
Because
about
he does know about what's happening. He does know.
well,
about
we
what
can
they-
argue about that. I think far less than you think.
far less, but I do believe he knows about some abuse.
Some of it. But
But that again, conjecture,
speculation. Yeah,
speculation.
I can tell you my opinion. Like, okay, we all heard the story about when all those guys were in the hole. I think Mike was there and some other people. And Miscavige walked in and said, "I just got off the phone with my friend Tom, and he said, let me know if you need any help." Because I'll come up there and just punch those guys in the face.
Yep.
I guarantee you there was never such a conversation on the phone with Tom Cruise.
That's interesting.
No,
Because I had someone
what-
mention that to me the other day that how do you know he actually said that? How do you know Dave wasn't just making that up?
He was totally making it up. How would anybody in that room cross-check it? What, they're going to call Tom and say, "Hey, did you tell Dave you're going to come up here and punch us?" But no, but I saw him do so many things like that, like make up so much bullshit. Just like, my friend's Tom Cruise, like he's just bragging that he's friends with Tom because he's a little narcissist, and he's threatening them that Tom's going to come beat up. Tom's not going to go punch anybody. I mean,
No,
he's
right?
not going to go up there and harsh people. I guarantee you, it never happened.
No.
He doesn't know he doesn't know anything about this.
Yeah. All right. No, that is again something that
And
we.
plus,
can speculate
I've
on
been in
forever.
that bubble. I've been in that bubble.
Yeah.
Not in, and Tom's bubble is 100 times more intense.
Yeah.
And what you don't see, and then people say, well, what about the gifting? What about all of a sudden Tom's not giving a gift to Shelley? Well, if you understood the gift culture at Gold and the gift culture that exists around Miscavige, you wouldn't ask that question because it's just you wouldn't think that because it would be like really stupid to ask such a question because there is this very specific gift culture which works like this, and it probably comes from inspired by somebody like Tom. A lot of celebrities do this. They have people on their staff and they give that person a list, or the staff compiles a list
Right.
of everybody that should get a gift at Christmas. Because these celebrities, they don't have time to do this shit. They don't have time to figure out everybody that should get a gift or what they should get them. So they have a staff person who compiles the list and hands it to the boss, hands it to Tom, hands it to Dave of all
Right.
the people that are going to get gifts and their little wish list.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they go down and they check it. So that shows up one day at Tom's office, and Shelley's not on it. He's probably not even going to notice it.
Yes.
It's just not on the list.
Right.
It's
But
just-
but that being said, the speculation about it was interesting because if you do imagine that he did know about it or was told stop, or who knows how involved he was with her particular gifts, maybe he did actually pick it out each time. Speculation. But I think
I
that
doubt
was
it.
really,
No, she
really
would-
where
he-
that conversation was
pick-
going was
Yeah.
was if he did know about and go, you know what, we're not sending her a gift anymore. Was that something that no list came from Dave's office, or Dave told Tom something and Tom told his assistant no more gift for Shelley? If one of those
No,
scenarios were
That's
true,
not how it works. It's just
I get that.
paperwork. It's just paperwork. Every
But
year
that's-
on my
yeah.
birthday and every year at Christmas, I got a call from RTC office, or they'd call my assistant and they'd handle it. And they would say, and it would be like 2 weeks before my birthday, 2 weeks before Christmas, we need your wish list. It's disgusting that they push this. And then I would get Dave's wish list. I mean, I bought that guy $700 shirts for Christmas because like he got so many gifts from everybody.
oh my
And
God,
and
what he
was
got
like
was outrageous.
outrageous. I mean, he got cars from Flag and motorcycles and all kinds of crazy shit.
$3,000 lenses, shoes.
Yeah, and then
bicycle.
Tom gets free BMWs by the pair from BMW because of the deal with Mission Impossible. And then he tosses a set of keys to Dave, and then Dave has a flashy BMW. But that's a different issue. But there's this whole gift culture, and it's completely paperwork. It's just like, okay, so sometimes my wish list would be rejected Can you believe that? I'd get a reject.
No, I believe you. Want to know why? Because my smart-ass brother Justin once was asked to make a list, and he put a ridiculous thing on the top of the list. I was like, what are you doing? You're just going to piss him off. And he's like, I don't care. And he wrote it in the first list item was $300. The second one was an NFL football. And the third one was something else. He got the NFL football, not the $300 to $500 item. So no, he used to play that game. Justin.
Yeah. So because sometimes I would get it rejected because it wasn't enough. They wanted more expensive things, and then I get rejected again or rejected again. So I went and I looked it up, and I'm
not feeling sorry for you, Mitch, right now at all.
That's okay. I'm not trying to get your sympathy.
I know.
So because you don't understand that part of abusing a person involves putting them in a privileged position. Okay, because you get what I'm saying? Like there is a kind of very serious abuse that happens by putting people in privileged positions.
Yes.
Anyway, I saw something really funny. But here, this is going somewhere. So anyway, I put a $10,000. I wanted the thing to stop. Please, I don't want to be asked anymore. Right. So I put an Hermes men's briefcase that cost $10,000, and then that caused them to get the thing that I actually just wanted, which wasn't that expensive. And then also the gifts had to be appropriate. Like I remember one year I was really getting into cooking. I'm like, what do I want them to give me? It's gonna have to cost at least like $400 or $500. And I went, well, I could really use some new cutlery. I could really use these really nice sushi knives, right?
Right.
Great gift. And I really do like to cook. No way. David Miscavige is not giving a man anything for the kitchen. I mean, they didn't say that, but it was obvious. They weren't going to go for anything that had to do with cooking, anything that maybe is a little too gay,
Right.
I'm saying that in quotes, people. Please don't hit on me. So anyway, but there's this gifting culture, and it really is paperwork. It really is, the list shows up in Cruise's office, and he doesn't see it. Some people in his office see it. He may never see the list. There's a list, and there's a bunch of gifts on there, and that gets done and sent away, and that's that. Okay?
Right.
So he may not even know about it. Would he know that Shelley's in ethics trouble? The entire world did. It blew up at his wedding, for crying out loud. Of course he knew. And, is he going to ask Miscavige what's going on with Shelley? Hell no. He's not going to ask. It just would be rude.
Right.
So anyway, and then when I got in ethics trouble, boom, I was off that list so quick.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so was I.
Finally, like 2017, I'd been there for like 28 years. I was working at S&P.
I think I got an Eagles jersey and one other gift. So I think I only got gifts for 2 years, and then I pissed them off, so it was over. But hey, I understand what you're saying.
It's part of the whole control thing.
I do understand, and it's an interesting conversation, and I don't think a lot of people have too much insight into that. But it is very interesting. I do want to just bounce onto the questions, just because I don't want to make this go a whole lot longer than an hour.
Do you know what this is?
That is a beeper from the 80s.
No, let me just take the cover off.
I have no clue what that is.
I think Tom Cruise gave like 30 of these away one year.
Okay.
This is an Astle and Kern. I should turn it on, then you'll know what it is. This is it's a high-def music player. It plays DSF files. It plays full bandwidth, uncompressed files that are like as good as LPs.
Does it have a DAC built in? Does it have a DAC built in? Nice.
Oh, absolutely. A very expensive one. You can even get balanced headphones for this little puppy.
Wow.
These are $2,500, and this is not the most expensive one. And, you would get some nice gift. And this
that's pretty. You're playing full high-res, hi-fi files on there.
Yeah. There's only a room for about 200 albums on there because a high-def album is probably 5 gigs, right?
Yeah. No, we'll talk about that audio sometime because I actually, I'm not that level, but I've got some pretty high-end audio equipment, some pretty nice microphones, but headphones. But right now, the best headphones in the world are something like $14,000.
Yeah, insane. But they're not. They're like 10% better than these, and these cost $80.
I know. I have Sennheiser, which makes them really good.
Sennheiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sennheiser makes really good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm streaming to you right now with a MacBook Pro that I got as a gift from Dave. So there, Dave. These,
Thank you.
and
Best investment you
I
ever
didn't even
made.
here. There you can see the album listing in there, and
Oh,
it's
cool.
it's got like a
Nice.
amazing sound. I mean, I have a dead-on system. I have those speakers from the film room. Remember those PCMs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that whole setup. But I
nice.
didn't ask for this. This was just like showed up on my desk one day for Christmas, and these are the $1,300 earbuds that came
Wow.
with it. So
13. Whoa.
yeah, $1,300.
Jeez.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
they're.
I mean, I've got Bowers Wilkins all over my place, but they're not. They're high end.
But
Maybe.
that's not good audio stuff, Sterling. That's rich guy audio stuff. There's a difference. So, no, I'm just kidding.
What you could spend on a listening room is outrageous.
Oh,
All right,
yeah,
let's
no.
bounce on like
Million-
outrageous.
Oh, well, while you're on the subject, what does Dave spend on his listing rooms?
Yeah, right.
Probably $1 million. Probably,
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt.
ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, it's insane.
But it has come a long way. Here we go. Let's throw some up here. Oh, you'll like this one, Mitch.
Buenos dias, amigos. So, ¿qué es más macho? Juan Travolta o Tomas Cruz? ¿Qué es más macho?
Thank you so much, Blake Reed.
I actually personally think John's more macho. I don't know why. Yeah, he just especially since Pulp Fiction. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That was just
so good in that movie. So good in that movie.
He was great in Michael. You mentioned that film, Michael.
Yes.
I really liked that film a lot.
SPTV Tattoo Warrior. Sexy, nothing to do with age. I agree, actually, and that's actually scientifically proven.
Yeah, but I have to say, I never started saying that until I was about 60.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tattoo Warrior. All right, we have Jojo. Oh my! I love how Mitch said that Reese reminded him of Howard Stern too.
I did say that. I said that she was the Howard Stern of awkwardness. Because he's pretty unfiltered in what he says, and she's really unfiltered.
Yeah.
But he's like really cool and insightful, and she's really awkward. And one of those two things is not better or worse than the other, in my opinion. Yeah, we need to somehow get her to interact. She said she'd do something with me.
She did. She's just a lovely person to talk with.
Yeah, no, I've tried to warm myself up to her because I'm really intrigued by just the contrast. Because I don't know what being in Kansas City, Missouri is like, and I'm really intrigued because I grew up in this West Hollywood. I mean, come on. I just every day I have to wake up and say, I will not be a douchebag today. I will not be. Because, that's what happens when you grow up in West Hollywood.
Totally. All right. SPTV Tattoo Warrior. Sterling. DNA foosball. What's DNA? Besides, are we talking about, Mitch, do you know what DNA is? I mean, I know what DNA is. But...
Yeah, nucleic acid. Yeah, it has to do with your genes. It's the basic.
Okay. The other question, foosball, and absolutely every time I can, I love foosball. You can talk the most trash for playing foosball, so I enjoy it thoroughly. Thank you so much.
I don't know what it is as slang.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I figured. I didn't think it meant.
Oh, well, Urban Dictionary says it means do not answer, but that doesn't make any sense.
Sterling, do not answer foosball. Oh, I think no. So SPTV Tattoo Warrior. I believe this is the lady who is also a volleyball coach and who would like me to do a hereditary test to find out if we're related because we have so much in common, and so maybe she doesn't like foosball. Anyway,
what's not to like about foosball? Jeez.
Right. Tampa B man. Mitch is older than me, so I'm feeling better now.
That's great. Thank you for the ageist remark.
But she followed this up. Tampa B man. Mitch is too cool for school.
Thank you so much. That's my brand. I just want to be cool.
We have this one. Audrey Covet from Paris. Nice entertainment. I love you both. 5:15 a.m. here. Mitch, love your passion and insight. And Sterling, love always brings something to the table. Hey, yeah, something, right?
Yeah,
I am a novice at so many things.
Brings something. Yeah, but that's really not the point. And hey, Audrey, I love your thumbnail. It's really nice. I love
Did a
black
good job
and
with it,
white.
right? All right. You get to read this one.
Okay, Jojo Oh My says, both of you are very handsome, kind, and emotionally intelligent people. Really glad to be part of your community. You both and Reese should do a live. I think we could, because I think we would be like, there's like on the color wheel, it's like there's like a triad of colors, and we're like a triad of emotional colors in terms of what each, you get what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
that makes sort of a beautiful kind of rainbowy thing. So I think that would be really cool.
All right. We got another one here. Jojo Mai, Sterling, you could have been Tom's stunt double. No.
You're too
One,
tall.
I'm taller than Tom Cruise. Two,
Yeah.
I'm faster than Tom Cruise, so it just wouldn't look right when he had to do any running. Well,
as long as there was no one. Oh no, he froze.
Oh! All right, Mitch. Do you want to just go full screen? I'll go out and then come back in.
Yeah, no problem. I will answer. I'll go full screen. Here we go. Hey guys, I paid off the technician to boot him the heck out of here because I wanted you all to myself. Patty B said, loved Michael, fun soundtrack. I don't actually remember the soundtrack, but yeah, it was a fantastic film. I loved that film. Yeah, no, that's never going to happen. Rosalind C says she will make you both say, you made me say it, Cooter. Rosalind C made me say it. Yeah, maybe you're right. I will try my best to avoid that. So, anyway. Okay, yeah, I think he, Ninpolite says, I see him more as Anthony Edwards double. Yeah, he does look a little bit like Anthony Edwards. Speaking of 80s classics. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so when Sterling, there he is.
Hey.
Hey, Sterling, you made it back just in time. Look at this comment. Okay, so you ready on 3? 1, 2, 3. Scooter. Okay, there you go. You happy? So that was for you, Reese. If you're watching, that Cooter was for you.
We're officially indoctrinated.
Yeah, I guess we're part of the Cooter crowd, right?
Here we go. Blake Reed, is David Miscavige above anything? I bet you can see his shoes on his driver's license.
That's a new kind of humor.
It does not stop. Okay. Aurora N. Top Gun was just meh. I wasn't impressed. I'm not impressed by this comment. The only Tom Cruise movie I remember actually liking was A Few Good Men. Hey, you know what? Yeah. I'm happy. Everyone's got their opinions. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I think this. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I really liked Magnolia. I thought that was a fantastic.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Magnolia. Well, I have not seen Urban Cowboy.
Yeah, well, I think I have to tell you, Urban Cowboy was directed by a guy, unfortunately died, maybe a decade later of AIDS, named James Bridges, who was an amazing director. He only did a few films. He did The Paper Chase, which was a classic, really a classic film. He did The China Syndrome with Jane Fonda and, God, I can't think of his name. And he did Urban Cowboy. And he was this really lovely man who was a very serious, very scholarly director. And he did such a great job with Urban Cowboy. It really is a good film.
You make me want to watch it tonight. I might do that.
You won't be disappointed. And John is just such a knockout as a dancer. He just blows my mind. And he can still do it. So
yeah, he's smooth. Aaron S. Michael J. Fox is amazing. How dare you, Sterling? Okay, so I didn't say it because of something against Michael J. Fox. I said it because he's so iconic for me in Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I was thinking when I made that statement. So yes, I love Michael J. Fox.
I think Back to the Future, it may hold up to the test of time. It may be a timeless classic.
I think I actually agree with you on that one.
Especially the first one.
Yes. Absolutely.
There's so many great things in it, and it definitely got me started to say, "Gadzooks, Einstein," or whatever.
I used to love doing the Marty McFly laugh too.
What's that?
The Marty McFly laugh.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah. And then the Biff, that's about it. What is it? That's about as funny as a screen door on a battleship. It's a submarine, you idiot.
Hey, look, somebody asked my least favorite question.
Yeah.
Maria Warren asked, Mitch, what is one of your all-time favorite movies? I am new to listening to you both together, so not sure if you have mentioned that before. I kind of meant
Just one.
I made a lot of movie recommendations, and I've been meaning to compile them on my community page, so I think I'll start to do that. I'm trying to think. I mean, one of the films for me that comes to mind is Lawrence of Arabia, which I consider to be, and I'm not the only one who said this, but I consider Lawrence of Arabia to be the greatest screenplay ever written, and it doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but
I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, and it's a really magnificent film, and it was written by a guy named Michael Wilson, who was a blacklisted Hollywood writer. He was accused of being a communist, and his wife was a friend of my dad's. They were both architects, and I met them before they had to go to Paris, because when he was accused of being a communist. So I always felt a little bit of a kinship, but then I loved the film. I will say that I read an interview with Steven Spielberg where he said, I don't know if this is still true, that before he does a film, he watches 3 films, which are Citizen Kane, Lawrence of Arabia, and The Seven Samurai. And you could make an argument that those are really 3 of the best films ever made. And I do love those films, but I have to say, when I read your question, the first film that came to mind, which I mentioned this to you, Sterling, is The Sweet Smell of Success, which happened to be directed by a guy named Alexander McKendrick, who was the dean of the film school where I went. And that is how I discovered the film, but it is considered to be the greatest film noir film ever made from that era in the 50s. And I highly recommend. This film is so timeless that it's not even funny. The Sweet Smell of Success, starring, what's his name? Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis and a couple of other really good people. Oh, and interestingly enough, it's a fictionalized story about, what's his name? God, I can't think of it now. The guy who did the Dianetics quote, Walter Winchell, the guy who did the Dianetics quote, Dianetics is more important than the discovery of fire, right? That quote.
Oh, okay.
That's from Walter Winchell. Walter Winchell was a horrible person. He was kind of a gossip columnist, but if he wrote something bad about you, your career was over. If he wrote something good about you, he made your career. And he was known for attacking his political enemies and destroying their careers. Burt Lancaster produced and starred in this film about a press agent, and it was based on Walter Winchell. And if you really, it's the greatest film ever made on what an antisocial personality truly is. It's a great film. It's just like...
It's going to get on my list.
Yeah, if you rent that film and you don't like it, send me the bill from your Prime account or wherever you watch it. And
I will do.
And I'll send you a Scientology The Big Lie mug, because, my merch store is open because I'm promoting my book.
All right, here we go. We're going to bounce on the next one. Breakfast Club, Mitch. IB360, Breakfast Club.
I would say it's an 80s classic.
80s classic. Got it. 80s classic.
Yeah.
Here's another one. And this, now, Diana, Dirty Dancing, I think is the purest form of helping kids through those teenage years. I don't know about that, but I have to say Dirty Dancing was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
I was never a fan of the film.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I should probably watch it again. I think it's because I really had a difficult time accepting Patrick Swayze and what's her name?
Jennifer Grey.
Jennifer Grey. I had a difficult time accepting their relationship. It just seemed very much performed. Like I never believed it.
Right.
So I will say though that what's his name? We just said his name.
Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze. What's her name? Patsy Swayze.
Yeah.
His mom is a very famous movie choreographer.
I did not know that.
She's the one who choreographed Urban Cowboy. She's the one who I met her when I went down there and visited my girlfriend who was working on it.
Oh wow, I had no clue.
Patsy Swayze. Remember, Patrick Swayze was a dancer.
Yeah.
And his mom was a noted choreographer, and they're from Texas, and his mom, Patsy Swayze, is the one who taught John Travolta to line dance. Oh my God, I'm so full of trivia. My head's going to explode.
Well, I'm sorry. I have to say this. One of Patrick Swayze's best moments ever was in an SNL skit when he was trying out as a Chippendales dancer with Chris Farley. And they were both on the dance off.
No, he was. We liked Patrick Swayze. We liked him. I liked his movies. I liked him as an actor. I think it's really tragic what happened to him. And
so do I.
Yeah,
Sarah Wynn, 2001: A Space Odyssey is still one of my favorite movies.
Timeless classic, 100%.
Yep. Okay, great.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and a huge cultural contributor. Absolutely. And you could pretty much say that. I'm trying to think of a Stanley Kubrick film that wasn't a timeless classic. Well, it would be Eyes Wide Shut, because that was just
and it's funny. A lot of people were chatting about that a second ago. That it was absolutely one of the. But most people just didn't even see it.
It was actually one of the most what?
In the chat, it was a lot of people were talking about how they didn't even see it, they didn't understand it, it wasn't that good. And
yeah. No, it was horrible. Quentin Tarantino, he recently did this thing where he's retired, right? Mm-hmm. He says he might want to come back and do one film. I read this interview with him where he's saying, look, when you get older, you just lose your shit and you end up making a shitty movie. He said, I'm not going to do that. And it's really a tragedy that Stanley Kubrick did do that, because he made some amazing films. He made a huge contribution to the art of filmmaking. So hopefully we won't get Eyes Wide Shut from Quentin Tarantino, ending his career with a horrible film. But
you go for it.
No, I think we missed.
I'll read it out. Mel Zahara Bazina, 42. The answer. Actually, no. Tom's best role ever was as Les Grossman, Tropic Thunder.
Absolutely. I have that clip. I could play it, but it's a little too disgusting.
Absolutely. And as a former Sea Org member at the Golden Air Productions base who knew David Miscavige, in my opinion, that was such a good portrayal of David Miscavige, except for that Les Grossman had a little more empathy for his people that he was working with. I'd say he had a little more empathy.
Yeah, no, but absolutely, Les Grossman was based on David Miscavige.
100%.
That was so funny. I always wondered if Tom did that as a kind of a covert therapy for himself. I have it somewhere. I'm not going to look for it, but I have that thing where he says, what I want you to do is take a big step backwards and go fuck yourself in the face. That thing is just absolutely brilliant. Somebody sent it to me. They were pissed off at me and they texted it to me. They were friendly pissed off, so I kept it in my phone.
Rune Sky Sting. American Made with Tom Cruise was really good. I actually agree. He actually did a decent.
Yeah, it was okay. I thought it was a little too formulaic. I thought Tom was really good in it, but it's a little. I guess I'm a little political, and I was a little upset by the sort of politics of it, because there's more to this whole smuggling thing, and I thought it was a little exploitative. Do you know the term potboiler? You know what that means?
No.
Well, a potboiler, you find them in mostly in books and movies. A potboiler it's a work like a book or a movie that's written or produced for one particular audience to entertain them and make lots of money.
Yep.
It's like Pulp Fiction was not a potboiler. A lot of people thought it was going to be a huge failure, but audiences discovered it. Where you get my point. Like every Marvel movie ever made is a potboiler. Okay, so, and I thought that Made in America was a little bit of a potboiler. I will tell you one thing: Miscavige used to do this crazy thing, right? So they have this thing in Hollywood called a sizzle reel. You ever heard that term, sizzle reel?
No.
Okay, so they're editing a film, and they haven't even made their final color grade. What we used to call a timed print on film, but they haven't done the final output. They're just editing all the rough footage, and it has the time code on it and all that stuff. And then the producers will demand to have like a sequence of shots, maybe 5 minutes, cut to music from the film, just like an action thing, just like a little tease, right? And if you're really, really, really somebody special, if you're really special, you'll get a hold of like a Tom Cruise sizzle reel or somebody of that ilk. You're like, you got your little USB stick, and you know what I got on here? I got the sizzle. So I was working. What movie was it? It was 19. It was 2006, 16 or 17. What did he do then? Maybe it was a Mission Impossible, or maybe it was a Jack Reacher film or something. Oh no, it was Made in America.
Okay,
That was
there
the
you
film.
go.
That's why I thought of it. And so all of a sudden, you got to go to the conference room right now. At S&P, they have this conference room. You could comfortably fit 10 people. He had about 15 people. You know, me and Molly Hertling and all the big shots there. And he jammed us all in there. And he's like swaggering around. And he puts this USB stick on the player like, I got the goods. You all shut up and sit down and look what I got. And then he'd play this thing, and I'm sitting like, I got a busy fucking day, man. I don't have time to be sitting here watching this bullshit because I don't really. Yeah, I don't really care. I really don't care. Yeah. And but it was in that context. If it would have been after work over a beer, I wouldn't have cared. But to have, I was like, anyway, whatever. I know you're not feeling sorry for me again.
No. I think you hit the point there, and I wanted to just wrap up some of them, but I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally do. Yeah, Patty B. By the way, Patty B, you left a comment on one of my videos today, and that was one of the sweetest things I've ever heard. So I will be getting back to you tomorrow. I really appreciate what you said. Very, very sweet. Did you see the photos from this IS event earlier? Rinderhead, I think Mike Rinder.
Yeah, I saw him. Did you see him?
Yes. Were you as shocked as I was, or
no? I was just nostalgic. I wanted to be there. I wanted to have some rich guy fun.
No, I could not believe how puffy Tom Cruise's face was. But
yeah, but it's whatever. I mean, come on. Do we not know? Have you? Yeah, I mean, come on. Without makeup and a little bit of CGI, anybody over 60.
It looked like he was going through some G forces on the ground, though.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. But he looked like he was having fun. I mean, the whole thing is just such a reality distortion field. I mean, what I really cared about was I want to know what he said, because I'm betting that he said at the event that he said that he saved the world from the pandemic because they did all that spraying and that he's going, because they handed out millions of books on how to wash your hands, and he's actually going to kind of cook up some statistics that say, hey, look, if it wasn't for the Church of Scientology and the IAS,
the world would have been doomed.
Generous donation from the IAS, the world would have been doomed. We are the ones. I'm telling you, I'm betting that he said that. Hey, Regina from Texas. I grew up in Pasadena, Texas, and remember when they were filming Urban Cowboy, the film portrays the town pretty accurately. That's because it had a director who actually a real storyteller. And I have to tell you, Regina, I went to Houston. Pasadena is like, it's a suburb of Houston. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Gillies is in Pasadena, Texas, is why she brought that up. Mickey Gillies, the club where they shot it. And I went there while they were filming it. And so hey, I was in your town when we were in the same town at the same time, Regina. And I love Texas. Texas is my favorite country in the United States. And if you're from Texas, you'll get that joke.
Okay.
Because Texas was once a country, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to explain that, right?
No.
Okay.
Joni Cummings, Mitch and Sterling. Has anyone told you two that you both are beautiful gentlemen?
We were actually
first.
We were telling each other that before we went on. Remember?
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
No, I thought I said no. I wasn't that about being. I don't remember.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This one I like. This is actually pretty sweet. Hey, Ty's channel. Ty's channel. Hey, hi, Mitch and Sterling. Good to see you two. I'm going to let you play as I fall asleep. Sweet dreams.
Oh, nice. I hope
pretty cool. Thank you.
Nice.
Patty B again.
I hope that's on my channel.
Yeah. Are you really? It is all in charge. Are you really a sprinter, Sterling? I'm not a sprinter, but I do like sprinting, and I'm pretty fast for a white guy.
Well, I saw you take a bass when we were shooting that Dianetics film.
Yeah, I've actually got,
Yeah.
I've got long legs compared to the size of my torso. So, I've always been
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, I think we had to tell you to slow down because we couldn't pan the camera that fast.
I actually remember that.
It was.
All right, here we go. So, I don't know what you think about this one, Mitch. Tampa Bay Man. I love Signs. Great movie. Real Genius is one of my favorite movies as a kid growing up with Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Real Genius. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Not a classic, but
No,
a great 80s movie.
Really entertaining, especially
Loved
if
it.
you're a kid.
Yeah. Loved it. I think we have the last one here. Let's pop it up. You go for it, Mitch.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Blue Sky, thanks for the super chat. I am a supporter of the Aftermath Foundation, never in as a science educator. I'm really curious what you think about the movie Oblivion. That's interesting that you asked because I heard, what is his name? The guy from Nexium, the filmmaker. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's a really smart guy, and his film, What the Bleep Do We Know, was actually a very popular film in the film department at Gold when I was there. It was actually thought of as Mark Vincente.
Yep.
Mark Vincente. And Mark did, we considered the film, What the Bleep Do You Know, as a very good example of how to express abstract ideas in an entertaining way. He did a fantastic job with the film. Mark's a really smart guy. I have a lot of respect for him. He did a breakdown of Oblivion. Did you hear this, Sterling? Did you ever see this?
No.
Maybe that's why he's Mr. Blue Sky's asking. And by the way, thank you for supporting the Aftermath Foundation. He did this brilliant breakdown. I suggest people go and watch it because he broke it down that there was a cult, and Tom Cruise had been gaslit the character into this cult because remember he finds out that they're the bad guys, right? And they're the ones that screwed the earth up.
Well, hang tight. I've not seen this movie.
Okay, well I just have to tell you, he makes a parallel that it's a cult, right?
Okay.
And that the character in the movie, the character Tom Cruise plays, his character journey in the film is to discover that he's actually part of a cult. And so Mark was making this parallel about how isn't it ironic and this is what Tom needs to do. I had seen the movie and there's a scene in the movie where the character has been cloned, right? And he runs into himself and they start wrestling. So Tom is wrestling with himself and I'm thinking, this is such a great, like, narcissistic thing. Like, what would you call it? It's like a device. And it was so homoerotic, like to see Tom Cruise wrestling with himself. It was really weird, and it threw me out of the movie. And I was with my older kid, who's intellectually, like, in next level, brain-wise, in terms of understanding the abstract. And he and I were both like, this is just too weird. And neither of us could enjoy the movie after that. And I mentioned this to Mark. I don't think he appreciated it because I mentioned after I watched the breakdown he did, I said, yeah, that sounds really cool, but I thought the scene of Tom wrestling with himself was so homoerotic that I couldn't finish watching the film. But anyway, that's
that went over my head, but I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to absolutely take your word for it.
Yeah,
hey guys.
Yeah.
You know what? We're doing this again. I think if Mitch wants to, I'm going to make this my Tuesday night thing. I so much enjoy talking to you.
Let me check my Magic 8 Ball.
While you're doing that,
it's a good possibility.
While you're doing that, please, everyone, hit that like and subscribe button. It does help. If you do not already follow Mitch, please go follow Mitch at the Big Scientology Lie.
No, it's Scientology, The Big Lie.
Scientology, The Big Lie.
The Big Lie. The name of my book, which is coming out on Black Friday, and at least that's what we're shooting for.
Awesome. Mitch, as always, I so enjoyed this. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. Next time I'll come to your place.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll try it.
Yeah, and let's see if we can't get Reese on because I think that would be a lot of fun. And if you want to talk about movies, I'll try
Yep.
to work something out. I'll figure something. I have some other very interesting topics that I think people would get a kick out of joining in a discussion with us.
Absolutely.
Like this one. So it's been
You
great,
got it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Have a great night, guys.